Lucius. I'm a year 4 medical student.
Hi, my name is Kai Jung. I'm an M2 student at NUS.
Hello everyone, my name is Hong Hui and I'm a year 2 medical student. Yeah. Okay, first question, describe the path you took before entering NUS Med. Okay, I think mine is a really long one, but basically I applied 3 times and I only got in on the last try through EIS, and that was after NS. I think EIS is called ABAS now. Yeah, I was originally from BJC and I took the BCME combination. Also, I think I'm a bit overdressed today, but that's okay, right? Yeah. Right, okay, thanks.
So for me, mine is a bit strange. I studied overseas my whole life. I graduated in a high school in Texas, and then I went to a university in Texas called Rice University for 1 semester. Then I transferred to UNSW for medicine, where I was there for 2.5 years. In my 3rd year, I transferred to NUS year 2.
So for me, I went to Nanyang Polytechnic. I took molecular biotechnology. Subsequently, I went to Army for 2 years before I joined NUS Nursing for 1 year, and subsequently I transferred over to medicine, and now I'm year 4.
Did the path you take ever concern you? What are the doubts you had or those around you had? So for me, I think the doubts that I had were definitely centered on the way I was brought up and how international it was. So my biggest fear was the fact that I had been overseas since I was 6 years old and I studied completely overseas. So I was really afraid the whole time if I did come back to work, whether or not I was able to relate to my future patients or build any proper rapport with them. And the next one I had was being accepted in the community itself, because I do sound a bit strange, and I've been told for a long time that I didn't really fit in very well, or I didn't really know the normal things. But I think being accepted into NUS did help solve a lot of those problems, or at least buy me a bit of time to figure it out before I graduate. And I think the other big problem I had was with money. A lot of the other students have mentioned about their fears with finances, and mine is no different. Being an international student is really, really expensive, and being an international medical student was even more expensive. I'm very lucky that my parents were very supportive of me and were able to make that investment into my education and to reassure me that it was okay. But I would be lying if I said it didn't weigh on me the entire time I was overseas.
Did the path you took ever concern you? What are the doubts that you had / those around you had? So personally for me, I think there are three huge issues. So first is getting into admission, second is the financial concerns, and thirdly is whether everything I tried for was really worth it. So firstly, talking about the admission itself, I graduated second in cohort when I was in my NYP doing my polytechnic studies. However, it didn't hit the cutoff for the shortlisting for the interview. So back then, the polytechnic cutoff was about 3.89 to 4, and for my GPA was quite far away from it. So I thought being second would be able to help me secure the interview slot, but I couldn't get it. So then subsequently I decided to apply for various overseas med school, and despite applying from countries like UK, China, Hong Kong, I still couldn't get them, and it was really quite disappointing. Probably because polytechnic diploma back then wasn't really well recognized, but I guess now it's actually a lot better. And when you try so long trying to get into med school, you realize that maybe you are unable to get into med school because you are not good enough, you're not smart enough, and sometimes you really consider whether or not this journey is actually worth fighting for. So these are my 2 huge concerns.
Okay, third question. Okay, what is the best and worst part about having taken the path you took to enter medical school? Okay, I think this can be quite a sensitive question. Yeah, but I think for myself, the best part was actually the 2 years of NS itself. Yeah, so the 2 years in NS was a really good time for me to reflect on whether I really wanted to do medicine. And I was in a very relatable NS vocation. I started off in SCDF as a firefighter before moving up the ranks and becoming a frontline rota commander in Changi Fire Station. So my NS was really just about fighting fire and saving lives, and that was really great. And NS in the front lines was a great turning point in my life, probably the biggest one, because as I ensured that I fulfill my responsibilities to the lives around me, I've also witnessed the passing of lives more than many of those my age. So on one hand, I felt the joy of saving those in need. And on the other end of the spectrum, I also felt the pain of being helpless when lives are lost. So back then, I really shared the darkest and happiest moments of all the lives whom I responded to. Yeah, and this is an experience that I felt didn't come very easy for me, and it really strengthened my passion and desire to study medicine and ultimately lead a life of service. The worst part, I don't think there is lah. Yeah, because I don't think I would trade these 2 years of NS for anything else. And I'm glad that I came into medicine already fully knowing that this is what I want to do for the rest of my life.
So for me, I went through army as well as 1 year of nursing. So being through this whole journey is actually very important for me because I think it shapes up a lot of my personality and the character. So in army, I've actually met a very close group of friends there who supported me and my journey during med school. And also being in army, I actually went through OCS, so you get to do a lot of various field exercises. And I think being able to chiong sai is really quite interesting experience lah. And then you fight side by side with your comrades. At the same time, being through into NUS nursing, my close group of friends there also supported me and helped me through the application of med school. And at the same time, being in NUS nursing actually helped me train up my skills in terms of communication with the patients. And at the same time, actually provided us with attachments during holiday that we need to go for. And this actually allows us to fully understand and work in the healthcare environment. And it was during this attachment that I realized that there's actually quite a huge difference between being a nurse and being a doctor. And that also pushed me on to pursue my career in medicine. And of course, with all these good parts, there's also the bad part. So the worst part really was getting rejection one after another, especially during army times when you have nothing much to do, and then you're just lying on bed thinking about the rejection, and then you're crying all day. And then sometimes you think about like there's nothing much you can do to improve your application outcomes or like to improve your application. So it was really quite a depressing time lah. So I guess that was really the worst part that I really don't want to go through again. But again, if I look back at this point in time, I would still rather go through the 4 years of rejection and also the experience that shaped me to be who I am today.
So I wouldn't say there's a lot of downsides for the path I took. I'm very thankful for the way I was brought up, for the things I was able to see and the things I've learned, because I think it made me a more well-rounded, open-minded and mature person, which I think will be helpful in day-to-day life, but also for my job. One downside was probably just the money, as I've mentioned before. But I think another thing that this path taught me is because I had to make my way for a lot of it and be very independent to reach for what I want and to make my own decisions. I think what it taught me was that I have the conviction to reach for anything that I want, and I will make it work if I want to. So I think that confidence helps a lot.
Okay, question 4. Do you need triple science to get into NUS Med? No. For me, I went to poly, so I didn't really have physics, so I don't think it's very important. But my friends who actually took physics, they are able to survive through med school so far without problems. So I guess that's good.
No. I totally didn't do any of that.
Is there a gender quota in NUS Med? I think we'll leave it to our M4, Lucius, to answer this question.
I think no, I don't think so. But I know my class, we have an equal portion of both male and female genders. But my junior batches, I think, no, I don't think so. I think there's more females than males.